In this video, I want to talk to you about how I understand what happens when a brain gets depressed. And I'd like to talk about the role of medication in restoring your brain's function. My name is Karen. I'm a clinical psychologist since 2009, and I've helped hundreds of people who have been diagnosed as clinically depressed. And you know, depression shows up in a lot of different ways, and it can be quite a surprise to people to find out that they meet that criteria, but also a major relief. Because you know what? Labels can be used in a very negative way, but they can also be so relieving and so life-changing, because to find out that the way I've been feeling isn't because I'm some kind of bad person, or because I am a failure, or I am not trying hard enough. It's because I am depressed. And a lot of people say things like, well, you need to get out more, you need to meet more people, you need to do more exercise, and your depression will go away. You need to change the way that you think. And this is true. But if you are genuinely clinically depressed, the effort that it takes to get yourself out to meet people, to get yourself into an exercise routine, to help yourself to think differently is incredibly difficult, and for many close to impossible. And I think that if you fit into that category, why not take advantage of the amazing modern medications out there, obviously under the care and attention of a psychiatrist or a medical professional. But okay, that being said, disclaimer, this explanation of depression is not scientific. This is something that I use to help my clients to conceptualize depression and to understand how taking medication might make a difference for them. So this graph here is my depiction of a brain's normal capacity to manage stress, right? So if this is your brain's normal capacity to manage stress, then this is how stress looks. It kind of goes up and down, right? I mean, stress levels, we know in our day, our stress levels can vary quite dramatically. But our brain can handle the stress unless something out of the ordinary or particularly difficult happens. And that is when the stress goes over or beyond our brain's ability to cope. And that is these parts over here. These red areas are where the brain's capacity, normal capacity to manage stress, have been exceeded. But if this happens occasionally, it's not the end of the world. We bounce back. The thing is, if this happens chronically, if it happens all the time, if life is constantly pushing you here, and I like this drawing because I see it as here, this is when you're going to fight or flight syndrome. This is a state of high anxiety. And then this over here would be when your brain almost freezes. You've heard of the fight, flight, or freeze response. So when you feel numb, when you can't cope anymore, when you just shut down. As I was saying, the problem is when this happens too frequently, when your brain is burdened by stress to an extent that you cannot cope. And it happens chronically when you are under too much stress for too long a period of time, or if the stress is so high and so sustained, it can actually have a damaging impact on your brain. And what happens is that your brain's capacity to handle stress becomes severely diminished. It becomes decreased, and I'm going to draw that now. So the thin green lines represent your brain's decreased and diminished capacity to manage stress. And you can see that things that you would have been able to manage in your stride, that you would have been able to handle back when your capacity to manage stress was normal, are suddenly things that push you into that state of high anxiety, hyperarousal, or into shutting down, into a freeze state. You can see that all of these points here would have been within your brain's capacity to handle stress before, but now with your reduced ability to manage, they are pushing, all of these little green points are pushing you into a state of either high anxiety or into the freeze place. All relate to this, that there are times when it feels like we just can't cope. But when it comes to depression, the just not being able to cope part goes on for a longer period of time, a minimum of 2 weeks or more. If this is a temporary thing where you are going to be able to recover on your own, it will usually last for a few days, maybe even up to 10 days, but you will bounce back after a while. However, if you've become depressed, you won't be able to snap out of it, and it will go on for a longer period of time. You'll notice that you're less and less able to cope with the things that you used to be able to manage. So if you go down here, what happens is that the normal brain, if you imagine that your normal brain functioning was here at the top line, once your brain is depressed, your functioning is all the way down here, and you are not feeling yourself. That is what a lot of depressed clients will say to me. They say, I just don't feel like myself. I'm just not myself. And people will notice, people around you will notice that you just don't seem like yourself. And the role of antidepressants or medication is to change the chemistry of your brain, to improve the functioning of your depressed brain back to its normal baseline of coping. And the thing is, it doesn't happen quickly. It's not you don't take medication and jump from here to here. It looks more like this. And it probably goes up and down quite a bit as well, right? Anything from 2 weeks to 6 or even 8 weeks, depending on your individual response. Over that time, the medication will have a slow incremental effect. It takes a long time to reach a therapeutic level in your blood. It's not a quick fix by any means, but it is a fix. And the effects are long-lasting and, as I said, life-changing in breaking this cycle and returning your brain functioning back to normal. It's not going to change your personality. It's not going to turn you into another person. In fact, what I've heard so many clients say is that after taking medication for a while, they feel like they are back to being themselves. And once the normal functioning of your brain has been restored, you do feel like yourself again, and that is a wonderful feeling. I'm not saying that medication is for everybody, but if you have been prescribed medication, you might find this explanation helpful. If you have any comment, please leave it, or any question, please leave it in the comments below. And I would love it if you hit the like and subscribe. Bye.